From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
So it is with particular pleasure that I introduce our next author, Anchee Min, who in her most recently published book, The Cook's Seed, writes about her difficult life in China and struggle to come to this country. In many ways, The Cook's Seed captures the spirit of immigrants in the United States, which is to say, it captures the American spirit. Min's fierceness and ingenuity and determination to overcome hardships and build a better life are, simply put, awe-inspiring. Now a little bit about Ms. Min. Anchee Min was born into a life of deprivation in Shanghai in 1957. At the age of 17, she was sent to a communist labor collective, where a talent scout for Madame Mao's Shanghai film studio selected her to work as an actress in propaganda films. After Chairman Mao's death and the imprisonment of his wife, Min went from being Madame Mao's foot soldier to Madame Mao's trash. Through a friendship with the actress Joan Chen and her own indomitable will, Min was able to secure a visa to study at the Art Institute of Chicago, even though she did not know English and she was not yet an artist. Min has written several historical fiction novels and 2 memoirs. The first of them, the international bestseller Red Azalea, follows her time growing up in China during the violent trauma of the Cultural Revolution. The Cook's Seed picks up on Min's story of immigration to America. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Anchee Min.
Thank you, Cindy. That was great. It's wonderful to be here. It's a very special day for me. August 30th, 1984. Exactly 30 years ago was the day that I was about to depart China for America. I can't believe I make it here. The only thing that was on my mind, that I was so scared. I didn't speak English. I knew nobody in America and had no money. Was that I know I had no life in China. The only phrase I remember is constantly on my mind, day and night, was that the Yangtze River does not have a lid. That means you can just jump it, just drown yourself in a head and everything. And it's not that I didn't try. China had so many people by the Yangtze River, by the Huangpu Bund, so I did not succeed. But that was exactly because I had no way out. And I approached America was because I had a friend who the party boss told not to talk to me, but she insisted and secretly kept the contact. And eventually I learned that she was a student in America, and I said, she said she pays her own way. It was the first time I learned that you can be a student. So I asked if I could be a student. And she says, well, you're willing to, it's gonna be hard. And I said, I'm from labor camp, I'm not afraid of hardship. And so that's how it started. It's a long story. When I see all of you, it reminds me of the first time I arrived in America was the sight that for the first time I see different colors of hair and eyes and clothes. And I just lost word. Right now, my mind is like going in every direction. I have so much to thank you for and share with you. And I feel I'm going to be out of track for a while until I collect myself. And I think it'll be no problem for you because you guys are good at multitasking and doing different tracks. So, to make a long story short, was that the moment before I was, in 1976, I was picked from cotton field because I have this face. People here, the media people, they don't understand. It was not my choice. In China, everybody at that time was a screw on the machine, on the running machine. You have no say. Because I have this correct looking, working class face. And so it's like a Miss Proletarian China. And they selected me and put me on the tractor and the military truck. I shipped like a package to the Shanghai Film Studio. I went through that 6 times, only until I came to America and I saw Miss Universe and Miss America competition. I knew that I was in one of them. But the standard was different. All the people I saw at the Shanghai Film Studio for competition, they're so just gorgeous looking. There's never a way that I could be chosen. But the interesting thing was that when they found somebody who knows how to perform, they immediately eliminate them. Because when you know how to perform, you have some cultural background. And Madame Mao was looking for a piece of white paper, and she can draw any color, any painting on it. And they asked me what I know what to do. And the only thing I knew to do was to recite Mao quotations and recite Mao poems. And all these things, later on in my life as an author, I wrote Becoming Madame Mao and Mao, and comes really handy because I'm so brainwashed. The reason, it was another long story, I have to compress it to make it short, was that I did these to escape beating, escape bullies. Because when you're a child, you got beaten only when you start reciting Mao quotations and they stop. Because if they hit you, they'll be labeled anti-communist, anti-Mao. So I start to recite all these things, and later on I compete for the school for Mao quotation contest, and I earned almost 800 buttons. And each button is a winning for each competition. And you know how good I am, the knowledge of Mao and his works. So at the Shanghai Film Studio, I recited Yongmei. Anybody here speak Chinese? Okay. I just give you one line. 风雨送春归，飞雪迎春到。已是悬崖百丈冰，犹有花枝俏。This Mao says, we are small, we are guerrilla armies, but we will take over China. And by the time the flowers blossom in the spring, I will be the little one hiding and smile. 笑也不争春，只把春来报。待到山花烂漫时，他在丛中笑。And it was this poem that got me selected. Then it comes handy when I apply for American visa. I'm going to get to that. So I was, moment I was to be the face of China's screen. And then 1976, September 9th, Mao died. October 8th, Madame Mao was overthrown. 2 months later, I was considered Madame Mao's taste. And I became a cooked seed, which means I would never sprout. And the next 8 years was a year of reform and labor. I was not allowed to go to school, and my salary would remain as a set hand, which is a labor, a script girl. So that's how I began my journey to America. And when my friend in America, whom I asked for help, she says, do you know anything? Because you did not graduate from any school in China. You didn't have a college. Most of them come to America for college. And I scored, out of 100, I scored 64 and 62 on Chinese and math for middle school. And the friend said, anything, do you have any talent or anything? I said, I don't, but I grew up painting my murals. So at that time, we saw in Shanghai, the first time French Impressionism, and the first time went to see Van Gogh and Matisse, and I thought, I could do that. So that's how I come back and then lay the rice paper on the floor and did all these things, and my mother says she saw death in my paintings, and that was because of that painting got accepted by the Art Institute of Chicago. And then they sent me they thought I had the potential. Was kind of surprised because the people graduate from China's finest art school did not get accepted. So I was giving this application form to fill out my name, and I did not have a name. And the neighborhood wise man says, you should call yourself Angel. So Anchee Min. So I spelled Angel. When my daughter was 10 years old in America, I took it out, show her. I said, this is how I came here. My name was Anchee Min. My daughter took a look. She says, Mom, that's Angle. And the next line was sex. I was supposed to circle female, and I did not know what to do. I couldn't make out male or female. And it was just became very difficult. And I eventually went to a friend who was a travel guide who came back like at 2 o'clock in the morning. She was so tired. She said, let me do it for you. Okay, English language skill, poor, average, good, excellent, of course, excellent. And the next stop was to get my passport. And the people here, they tell me, they say, you know, you should never lie. And I would say, if I never lie, I would never make it to America, never get to my passport, because the party boss says, why do you go to America? Do you intend to promote revolution? I said, yes, of course. I am promote revolution here. I think that the Americans, you know a lot, but the China you know, it's not the China I know, and not the complicity of it. And China has become more and more important. It's vital to this country's survival. How can we afford not to know China? Where China is coming from, it's going to predict where China is going. It's where America is going. And I'm so blessed. I'm being given so much by America, and so much should be expected of me. Anyway, back to my passport. So after I promised that I would promote revolution in America, the party boss gave the chop. The next line was the American consulate for visa. At that time, 1984, the end of 1984, only PhD candidate can get the visa because so many students want to come here. And there are crowds in front of the consulate, and when I asked for these wise men for my chances, they said, no, next life. So I decided to write a self-introduction and memorize the same way I memorize the Mao poem. And I thought, when I go in front of the consulate, I would not let she or he interrupt me. If he did, they're gonna find out I don't speak English. So I'm just gonna charge. When my name was called, I went up and I said to myself, now, my name is Anchee Min. I would like to go to America. And the more the person looked at me with this brown eyes, and the faster I went. And I just gave the introduction in one breath. And then I heard this, okay. I understood the okay. And the consul closed the curtain on my face. You know, in China, so many people want to claim that if they're rejected, they can stand there and talk. So the consulate designed this curtain. They just close the curtain on you. You don't stand a chance. And move to the next window where there was a Chinese secretary. And she says, you know, you think you fooled Americans? You're lucky. It's just they like people with crazy determination. And with that, I came home. And my parents opened the door. And my father and my mother, they're not even to ask me, did you get it? And when I broke the news, my mother just dropped on her knees, and my father almost got dragged down. My mother says, I can't see. And so, October 31st, I board the journey, and my father was so worried. He says, you're gonna get caught. You don't speak English, and you go to America for college. You just lie your way. It's just not gonna. And he says, I tell you again, you're not going. You don't go. And my dad is here today. He's doing the filming. 爸爸，跟大家鞠个躬啊。Okay. He's here to thank you for giving his daughter the second chance. 谢谢爸爸。He came all the way to China, from China to here to see I'm on stage and be a celebrated American author. Today I'm the happiest day. I grew up, I was raised to fight America. I couldn't wait to die for my country because you guys were in Vietnam. And China was the next, we were told. So even as a 10-year-old, I spent 1/4 of my school years practicing combat with America, soldiers, Marines. And the drilling instructor would say, you have to do it hard or you're gonna be killed. And I dreamed of being sent to Vietnam. And we saw propaganda films when the soldier, the martyr, light up the explosion, jumped into a group of US Marine and then blow himself up. The music, the smoke, the cloud, the orchestra, just make it so glorious, a death. And I just couldn't wait. Now, when I talk about complicity, you might think of people like a Hitler, like a Mao, they are evil. No, they're not evil. They have this appearance, a charismatic appearance. Mao said to these people, 1 billion people who fell for him, not for anything else, just for his ideal or the false ideal. Mao says, man of humanity should refuse to preserve his life at the expense of that humanity. Who would not fall for that? My biggest wish was to be my ashes to be shipped back, wrapped in a communist red flag. My parents would be sad but proud. Anyway, back on the journey to America. And these are the things that flew through my mind as I boarded the plane to America, first plane. It was landing in Seattle. First time I saw so many lights. Never seen it in my life. I thought this was the Milky Way. My father was into astronomy. He never was allowed to do it. But it was his dream. He named his son Space Conqueror. And he was criticized for teaching children sunspots. Because Mao was the sun. How can Mao, spots means flawed. And Mao says capitalism was going down the drain and that socialism was thriving. And I look at Seattle, the night sky, and I thought, is this going to the drain? Then I stepped out of the plane. I was supposed to be in Chicago. So I go out with my ticket and say, Chicago? They say, no, Seattle. Then I follow the crowd. I think I'm running out of time. Anyway, I was in front of the American immigration officer. And he says, welcome to America. And I did not understand. I say, thank you very much. And he says, in my ear, this is what I heard. Thank you. And he took my passport, he examined it, and his face grew long. He says, and I say, thank you. And he pointed back, and that's a deportation room. And I was there for about 40 minutes, but I felt like 4 years. Eventually, the translator came, and I broke down. I said, my feet are already on America's soil. Please, I'm sorry I lied, but give me 3 months. If I don't manage to speak in English in 3 months, I will deport myself. And the translator says, Miss Min, you will be our society's burden. And so it's useless to plead, and I tell her in Chinese, I said, I didn't have the fortune to jump into the Yangtze River. And of course, it's useless. And she looked at me and just turned around. She went to talk to the immigration officer, and they discovered in my paper there was a clause that if upon the arrival of the student, if the English was not sufficient enough, I would be given 6 months to the language school at the University of Illinois in Circle Campus, an intensive English class. So they came back to me, says, you go now. And I thought I'd get given 6 months. And I went to the school. Of course, the foreign student advisor says, look, your application form, you say English is excellent. But I'm telling you, anything you know nothing, you can only say thank you. You can't not be in the class. So I was kicked out, and within 6 months, I'm speaking English. And I think you will do that too if you will speak Chinese in 6 months if you're in my situation. So, began my American life, and that's the cooked seed. It's just, how would I say, summarized in one sentence that I told my daughter. I say, you have no reason to complain about jobs, about grades, about school, about life, because you don't have to rent your organs for money to survive. So you got the idea. But I think I was grateful because in America, I feel that life belongs to me. And that itself, I learned from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the TV. And it was after many months of English, I couldn't understand anything, like one complete sentence. His sentence was the first thing I understood. He says, you being there, be yourself. It's the honest gift you can give to anyone. And I broke down crying because I myself could be a gift, worthy of a gift. So that was the first Americanization. And many years later, Mr. Rogers I was going to give a talk in his hometown, Rochester, and he was going to host me, but I did not know he was cancer at his last stage. And I wanted to thank him for enlightening me And I didn't know how to express myself. And my daughter, 7 years old, she says, I can do it for you. She drew a card with American flag on it and sent it to him. And he said, it was like a weeks before his death. Mr. Rogers said, you make me feel so good. I enlightened a soul like you. So that's something comforting. Other than that was immigrant's life. And I began because, you see, in Red Azalea, probably you read it. I mean, it's I wrote because in China it's still a issue to write at this depth on Cultural Revolution. And for me, I feel we can never move on if we deny history. And the face of this girl named Little Green who drowned and died, and I was called to attend her, was forever in front of my face. And she was simply forgotten. And to make a long story short about what Red Azalea was about, my daughter was 13 years old in American, 14 years old, first year in America high school. And she come to me, she says, Mom, we're gonna do a book project. Which book do you recommend? I say, I recommend Juba Halari, and the Indian American, for the namesake. So my daughter draw the poster and then have the visual aid and have Indian girl. And the class was where she was giving presentation. The same day, a lot of people gave, and she came back to me. She said, she says, Mom, I have to be the visual aid for somebody else. And I have to, can I borrow your red army cap? Can I borrow your green jacket, Chinese jacket? I said, sure. And she went and be the visual aid. She came back. She doesn't look good because she told me that the presenter, her friend, Natalie, the first opening sentence was, I would like to present a book, Red Azalea. And author Anchee Min is a lesbian, and she did not realize that Lorianne was my daughter, who was her visual aid. And then I have to thank you for this American culture. My daughter says, Mom, I still love you if you're a lesbian. And then talk about this thing. I found that all the American media, ABC, CBS, public radio, and they mean good because they want to pick something that's unheard of. So it's always this sexuality comes up. And I couldn't tell the story because when you put the label, and that's what China's not China's about. You just cannot put a label on China. When you get shot dating the opposite sex, what do? Your human needs, your animal side of yourself. As girls, when your only space is within the mosquito net and you're in love with a boy, what do? You pretend each other's boyfriend. How do you categorize that? And of course, I hurt my family. My sisters still say that, why do you have to say that? So many people talking behind me that you are bisexual. And my children are having a hard time at the school. But it doesn't get me. Same thing with the cooked seed. I feel like an immigrant. As an immigrant, you have so much to hide. You just want to hide. You send home when you wear beautiful Western suits. I pose at the Lake Michigan, the prettiest picture. And I even asked the photographer, a pedestrian, a kind man, I said, there's a boat coming the other way, the party boat. Can you include that in the picture so I look part of that party? That was a week after I was raped and choked. And of course, the most thing that we want to hide is the deep loneliness. And 10 years I was here, just basically the first 3 years didn't have the money to call family. And how can I comfort this loneliness? Writing, when I was doing the cooked seed, it was not very difficult. After Red Azalea, I started Red Azalea, I did not have any confidence. It was a teacher who said to me, you know, you are such a lousy writer, Anchee Min, but you have a wonderful material. And I say, who do you think you can recommend to me as a good writer? And he turned around, he gave me his book. And I read it and I said, I could do that. Imagine if he recommended me Virginia Woolf. I would never have had the guts. So that's Red Azalea. And after it became a bestseller, I immediately got the offer to write the sequel. By then, I was like 5 years into America, and I tried. And I found that I wrote a garbage, because you can't really describe a life and you have the depth. You just don't. So it took me 25 years to write the sequel. And now I can very comfortably say that the sun does not hang, the sun hangs on everybody's tree. Everybody's got a chance. And if, I told my daughter, you know, you have a problem with your set, that if a student of Chinese American background, you achieve full score, which is like 2,400, you still will not be accepted by the best school. When there is a black background and Latino people background, they would be, if they can only score like a 1,500. And I said, that's fair. Because first of all, you are a minority. And at the public university have to be fair. I know you're crying, your classmates is not as good as you, but according to this demographic fairness, more people, they have to get a chance. Also, they might not be lucky enough to have a mother like me, and their environment might not be in their favor. They might have to struggle harder, so they should get a chance. But if you are a gold medalist, if you you can jump the bar, nobody else, America is not going to miss you. You just have to be this gold medal material. And just don't feel sorry for yourself. And I think I have gone through all these ways, and I feel, for example, in the Chinese restaurant I was working, I actually feel good to be told what's wrong with me. The owner says, so I was carrying a tray with 60 dishes on it. I was walking, the owner was walking behind me, and she says, the house is not on fire. Why are you walking so fast? So I slow down, and she's behind my tail again. She says, I did not hire you to be lazy. But you see, she let me know. Try to satisfy her. But in China, when I was punished, and just, you don't know what's wrong. You basically disappeared. You don't know. But in America, you can always find out what's wrong, and you improve of that. And with the writing, nowadays, the agent will not represent you if you're not published. And publisher will not accept anybody who is not represented by agent. So I talked to the agent. I said, okay, how would I succeed? And they said, go competition. So I entered with $5 in a magazine competition. The magazine is called Mississippi Valley Review, 20th National Writing Contest, 1991. And I won. I was published, and that's how began my career. Anyway, my time is up. The only thing I will have a question and answer section, and I have a little bit treat for you. To finish, it took me 25 years as an American to realize that my life step going up and down. Sometimes I'm such a loser. But I think I learned to accept myself, and I realized I am that human being, very unique human being, who can be defeated but not conquered. I'm going to finish my presentation by singing you a Chinese opera, and it's 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. And it will illustrate to you about how the billion's mind was seduced, how the anti-American, I mean, it reminds me of today's North Korea and Islam, outside the terrorist and the country. It really bothers me when I saw the young boy on TV days ago who was so happy, says, yes, I will grow up to kill Americans. And I saw my old self. And this music and little opera is going to show you how I got sucked in. It was by beauty of art, but by the opera. And the line is about southern China. You picture this, southern China, the center of rice paddies, flowers of reed, willows on the side of the lake. Families are in harmony and happy, and this picture of heaven was created by the hands of the working people. And this is originally a local opera and got adopted by Madame Mao. And for the 10 years, the whole nation was singing it because the broadcasting, the boxes was everywhere, connected in the neighborhood, in the commune, in the school. And you can't even sleep at night in the summer. Everybody in the cafeteria seeing this. So I'm just gonna entertain myself and you to finish this. And this is also my father's favorite. Can you hear me? That doesn't sound like, like explosions, but that is explosion.如花放到故乡，安了成行。全凭着劳动人民一双手画出了锦绣江南米香。Thank you. Questions? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No questions? I'm leaving. Yes, microphone, please.
I would really feel bad leaving this room without at least trying to understand one or two words of what of the song that you were just singing. If there's just some word.
Oh, I
or so-
explained before.
Yeah.
It's about the southern China and
I know,
people.
but is there like a particular word or a phrase that gets you so? That got you so. I know it's in the past. It's
Yeah, well,
history.
it's very different. I can give you an idea. For everything is, to me, is different. For example, people ask me how to, in China, if you ask a teacher,
Yeah.
how do you write? And here, the publisher and the agent and editor will tell you, show, don't tell. But in China, teacher will say, the wind shows its leaf through trembling. Wind shows its body through trembling leaves. That's the way we talk.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. I came late, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. You?
Hi,
Yes.
Miss Min, and I would like to thank you so much. You said Mr. Rogers encouraged you with some of his words, and I would like to thank you for saying, what did you say? Everybody has a chance. Being a new author, you know, you get kind of scared. I understand you have to know your craft and learn your genre, but to hear your story, because I'm a memoir writer myself, to be able to tell the truth, but still enlighten the audience, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. And I think I think a first-time writer, it's very easy. I think it's easy to, when you write a memoir, you normally, it's just natural that you can't really cut into yourself, like do a really honest autopsy. I think that's the hardest part. And if you want to be successful, that's where you go. You really, really have to go that way. Yeah. Yes. Microphone. Can I have you over there? Sorry about that. Thank you. I'm glad that you read my book.
I loved your book. It was a wonderful book. So I wanted to ask you whether the style of mothering that you adopted is the classic that Amy Chua wrote about, the Tiger Mother.
Oh, Tiger Mother.
I didn't read that book, but I did wonder that your relationship with your little girl seemed very compatible.
I think that's totally American influence. I tell you, I think also it's so Chinese because I'm smart enough to know that if she's not on board, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
That I know. And also, I don't know about Tiger Mother. I mean, it's the last thing any Chinese mother would do that to think that my way is the best way. It's just not Chinese. And also, I don't really get a chance in my home. I was divorced. My first husband, and that's another thing about this memoir is that I read about this disintegrating of the marriage as an immigrant, because you come to America same time you're adults. I was 27 years old, and my husband, we met here at the school, Art Institute, and today he is a professor at the Art Institute. But all I could see when I had a child with him, and it's just like you have to be working as a pizza deliverer to just bring $15,000 home to survive. If you don't, we just don't stand a chance. And we have a big fight and ended in divorce. And now he went his own way. But it was very painful. Immigrants have to go through that. And the interesting thing was the publisher asked me to change his name because he says he can sue me. So I sent my manuscript to him, and I say, what do you think? And he wrote back, he says, unless you use my real name, no book. That's really, really good. And also I got the support back to my daughter, during the divorce was because he wants a daughter. In America, law says you have to live in within 50 miles with each other. And he's the guy, he says, he's an artist, and then he says, you don't know math? It's okay, as long as you know how to calculate dollars. So I knew my daughter's not gonna, go advance if I stay here. So I called my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law, I say, who do you want your granddaughter to go, me or your son? And she did not blink. She says, you. That's why my daughter is in Stanford today. I think my mother-in-law, she says, as a woman, I'm on your side, but as a mother of Chico, I am on his side. I have no choice. And then when my daughter was 7 years old, and I was single for 7 years, and I met my current husband, and he is a U.S. Marine. And you know Marine, he says, don't worry about me going crazy. I'm already crazy. I've got PTSD. And you tell your mother, who does not, said, you don't know, Mom, you don't know anything about American school. I'm American high school teacher, and you don't fool me. So he applied the Marine style, and he's the tiger father at home. Like a Saturday, I'm actually tell my daughter, I say, you're 17 years old. Saturday evening, why you stay home? Are you gonna follow my path? Be a loser? Divorce? Because I told my mother, I asked my mother what love was when I was 17 before I went to the labor camp. My mother's answer was, shame on you. I said, you see where I landed here? No, you go out there and get to know male animal. And I know what's going on with your American high school. You have this thing, hook up something. You just remember, you have this gift, the woman gift, once. Did you read? You have 3 options. One, you can give it to the boy, man you love of your life. You give it to him. The other ones, you can sell it. Did you read Memoir Geisha? $50,000. Or you can give it for free, $1.99. So she actually worked. She laid down and said, Mom, that moment, really, I look at the boy and I said, does he worth my gift? And the answer is no. So I think American way worked. I mean, on the other hand, when we would consider her friends and consider us a dysfunctional family. Because she was supposed to be back 10:15, because that's what the house Marine said. The Marine dad says 10:15. So by the time 10 o'clock at her friend's house, she says, can you drive me home? It took friend's mother about 10 minutes to get ready. By the time she came here, it was 10:16. And the Marine locked the door. And the last door was a dead door, can't get in with the key. You know, people who suffer PTSD. Mm-hmm. He would, at night, patrol the yard, 2 o'clock in the morning, and say, somebody's in the yard. And I say, how do you know? Crickets is not singing. So he every door, the deadlock. And so the daughter was trying to get in, crying. And the American mother, friend's mother, sitting in the car downstairs. And the Marine just would not open the door. Me, the Chinese mother here, struggle. And I said, which side do I take? Do I open the door? Or do I follow my husband? And then the Chinese woman nature kicks in, I follow my husband. So I did. But it did it good, because he is a tiger father, and the daughter knew that he meant well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that's all. I appreciate your coming. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.